I don't think we'll have any today. So my name is Jen Shona. I'm with the Atlanta BeltLine Partnership. Sorry, 1 second. Let's get this out of the way. So my name is Jen Shona. I'm with the Atlanta BeltLine Partnership. I'm the Associate Director of our Empower Programming. So tonight you are joining us for one of our home empowerment workshop series. These are free workshops put on to the community for homeowners, renters, just to teach them about resources out there. We have other programs that support homeowners and BeltLine residents, like our legacy resident retention program, to make sure that seniors and legacy residents can remain in their communities. And we also have workforce partnerships to help people find life-sustaining jobs. If you're interested in either of those programs afterwards, you know someone that may be, please feel free to talk to me. So tonight, I'm really happy to be joined by not only one of our lovely sponsors, but they are a great guest and presenter here tonight, PNC Bank. They're the experts in this field, and they're going to give you the lowdown about everything you need to know about the home buying process. We will be toggling back and forth between questions between the Zoom audience.
The speaker needs to have the mic clipped to their collar, period.
We'll get things started. This is Steve. He is our presenter extraordinaire, and I know you will not be bored with you.
No pressure, no stress, right, Jen? Thank you so much.
It was very difficult to hear you, period.
Michael Davis and the whole and Mary, the whole team. The work you're all doing is really incredible. We wouldn't be here tonight if it wasn't for what the Atlanta BeltLine Partnership is doing. So first off, just please take a look around the room real quick, if you would. I want you all to be very, very proud of the people you see in this room and give yourselves a round of applause. This is a huge step, and we're proud to be here. Just so you know, this is the best part of our job we can be doing.
He sounds
really
better, period.
So I wanted to start by saying, first of all, again, my name is Steve Cook, Regional Manager with PNC. In the back room, we have 2 mortgage advisor extraordinaires. We have Raphael Nobre on the left hand of Raphael. We have Gage Gorbeck. So don't be here on break after the session. Walk into the parking lot. Please get their cards before you leave, because they're the ones that actually get that all done. I'm just here. I just talk a little bit. They tell you I talk too much, but that's for another day. So, team, what to expect from today? What I want you to do first of all is show me your left hand. Come on, don't be shy. Reach around your back. Pat yourself in the back. I want you all to be very proud of what you're doing. This is a huge step. And when you think about financial freedom and success, it really starts in America with what? When you have a nice asset that you can call your own. A home is usually most individuals' largest asset. So the fact that you're all here going to learn and want to learn more about home ownership means an awful lot to us, because everyone, you're really, and I know it might sound a little hokey, you're the future. The future is the economy. How does the economy thrive? Home ownership. How do you all do better and thrive? Learning how to become a homeowner. And our pledge to you today is everything working okay?
Speak as loudly as possible.
Okay.
Speaker, if you don't mind.
All right. How's our virtual team doing? Everybody okay? They can't speak back. So everybody, so at the end of the day is, here's what we want you to expect from this evening, okay? You're going to leave here with actual knowledge. When you leave here this evening, you're going to know what makes up a good credit score. You're going to know how to get a good credit score. You're going to know what is affordability look like. How much can you afford? We're not going to go over your personal finances, but we're going to do some exercises. We literally want you leaving here tonight knowing how to calculate your own debt to income ratio. When you get that raise, when you pay something off, you'll be able to sit home and say, I've got to call Raphael or Gage. I think I qualify for X now. We'll be able to tell you in a matter of minutes, but it all starts with each of you knowing where you're at in your own financial journey. And by the end of this evening, by the end of this hour, our commitment to you is ask questions. We're here to stop and pause. We want to make sure I get it going. Give me a hook sometimes. I like to talk too fast and say, can you say that again? Can you make it make sense to us? Is that fair? We got a all over hand, give you a fist bump, a virtual fist bump. Yeah. All right, so let's get our learn on, everybody. Let's get our learn on. So what I want to talk about first is who your hosts are. So we're gonna give out our first little prize. It's nothing major, okay? Raphael, give me the first one. Who can tell me? First of all, the PNC, we're one of the oldest financial institutions and most respected in the country. Who can tell us when PNC, whoever gets closest gets a little folio pad. Who can tell us when PNC was founded? Any guesses? Whoever gets closest gets it. Give me a year. Just take a guess. There's no wrong answer.
1938.
Thank you. 1938. Anybody else? He's the winner. Give it to him. How about 1846? That's how long we've been rolling, everybody. So When we tell you we got your back, and we've done this a few times, we really truly do. If you didn't do right by your clients and consumers, we wouldn't be up here in front of you. We could say we've been in business literally since 1846. How about next prize, next guess, okay? Another guess here. Don't win them all, man. I'm kidding, you win them. Hey, what size are we ranked nationally when it comes to the national banks? The big five nationally, where does PNC rank? Another guess, on this side. Thanks for playing. Anybody else? We're the fifth largest bank in America. Team, we're very, very proud of this. And it's not about, it's not about being bigger, it's always being better. But when we talk about lending and being able to be there for you, you want to work with someone okay, are the people I'm talking to on the phone that are presenting us to it, are they going to be there tomorrow? Are they going to be there in a few years? If I get a mortgage with these individuals, are they going to be there in 30 years when my mortgage is paid off? You got a pretty good idea that we're going to be here for you. I don't know that I'll be here for you. The age around, they're a lot younger than me. They might be here, but I can't say that I will. So now I just want to give a real quick rundown, and Jenna, if you could take a minute. First of all, I can't thank you and Michael and Mary enough. Again, what you're all doing for the BeltLine community is amazing. We're honored and humbled to be next to be part. So just tell them a little bit about truly who the BeltLine is, what they do.
Sure. I'm going to move closer to our mic so everyone can hear me. So at the Atlanta BeltLine Partnership, we are the nonprofit entity that serves the Atlanta BeltLine vision. So part of that includes fundraising for the project to complete the parks and trails and other great aspects. But we also are really passionate about engaging members of the community so that not only they can enjoy the trails, but really be empowered to stay in their homes and all the development that's to come with the BeltLine.
That's awesome. So one more time for the BeltLine. All right, everybody, so let's get into the meat of the line, okay? I want to really tell you about what's going on. So when you look at this first thing, who's watching the news and who's hearing the news? Is it doom and gloom in the economy right now? What about with interest rates? Are they doing good or bad right now? Bad, right? So I want here's what you hear on the media says largest increases in rates since 1994. True or false? True. The biggest housing inventory shortage in history. True or false? For perspective for everybody, there's usually about between 120,000 to 180,000 active listings in Atlanta. For the metropolitan counties of Atlanta. When you drive around, there's between 120 to 180,000 at all times. Anybody want to guess how many there are right now, roughly? Less than 15,000. You're honored tonight. What's your name? Very nice to meet you. So, team, so is that true? Absolutely. Let's look at the next graph here. So, what is the real? Remember, the media. It's always mostly doom and gloom, right? It's not about political preferences. No, we're not here to talk about that. You watch the news, they get good ratings by giving you some bad news, right? So here's the reality on where rates are, okay? So if you all can see this real quick, this at the very left side, it shows you 1970, all right? How many people in the don't say it? I was born before 1970, probably the only one in the room. Yeah, yes. Hey, so look where rates are back there. You see that was right about, was that like 6 and 7% in 1971. So when you look over here, and you follow that graph, this is all the way over here to the middle end of last year. Where are rates right now? 4 or 5%, right? So you think about the national average, we're talking about the average in America, where have rates been? So all the doom and gloom here, we're still at all-time record lows. But everybody got so spoiled here in 3 and 4% for the last, during the pandemic. Now that we're at 5%, what's going on? So what I want everybody to know today is, first of all, it's not the worst time to buy a home. Okay, we're gonna prove that to you tonight. What we're here to do is to let you know how to become a homeownership. Is it a good or bad time? And then we're here to support you, okay, during that journey. So let's go to the next slide. When you look at this, here's the current rate shock, and this is a little plug. So PNC's average 30-year fix right now is a 5% interest rate. Okay, my set rate 5%. That's a 30-year fix. And that 15-year, just so you know, the lower term you go on a mortgage, the better interest rate you get, because your payment's a lot higher, and a bank is lending you money for less time, right? So you get a better interest rate. So that's where we're at 5% right now. Okay, let's look at where the industry average is right now. The industry average is, one more click, at their 30-year fix is 5.4. So we're almost a whole 0.5% below where the industry is. What that means for all of you is, when you work with a larger lender, a reputable lender, they usually have more buying power. They can offer you lower interest rates. And what do you get with lower interest rates? You can qualify for more of a home loan, which is important, right? Even if you don't want to get more of a home loan, the money you're borrowing from the bank costs you less to pay back. That's how simple this is. So I don't know if any of you ever heard this. Let's go to the next slide, Raphael. Look at the next slide here. Have you ever heard of the housing affordability? I do not want to bore you all with too many numbers tonight. This is not, I don't want you staying. I'm not going to memorize this. Not the goal, okay? I hope everybody can hear virtually. What this slide shows you here is the housing affordability index. What does this really mean? It's a lot of graphs, a lot of numbers. All that it means is this. What can the average American of the average American salary, can they afford the average American home price? Okay, completely correlated. The average American's income with the average home price in America. What do they need? When this number is at 100, the average American can just afford just the average purchase price of a home. Make sense? When it's below it, it's inverted. That means the average homeowner is not making enough to even afford the average home. You see what this number is right here? 152. These are the things the media is not telling you. We're slated in the mortgage industry to have the last 16 years, it's going to be the third best year in the last 16. Now, if you listen to the news, you think it's Armageddon, right? It has definitely changed. But we need you all to hear, don't be afraid. Whenever you're ready to start this journey, start that journey. And it starts by some of the things we're going to get into long before you get to this part. So let's go to the next slide, Raphael. So does that make sense so far? Are rates that bad nationally? Historically? No. Is housing so out of whack that no one can afford a home right now? No. So what we got to look at here is the debt to income ratio. This is something I want you all to really pay attention to. And can you check virtually? Are they able to hear pretty good?
Yeah, the closer and more
okay.
you can do, the better.
I wonder if I should try sitting on next to speakers. Try to help you out, our virtual team. Yeah. All right. Let's do a quick mic check for her. Can you ask them if they hear me any better or the same or?
Yeah, someone could give us.
Is this any better? Do I sound clear, closer, louder?
That's incredibly great.
Oh, perfect. That's good. So let's talk about your debt to income ratio. Remember, this is a personal journey. This is what it's all about, okay? The goal and expectation for this segment is for you all to be able to really sit down. Remember, you're not going to share it with the group, but I want you to be able to sit there and you'll work. Raphael and Gage will come around the room. This is where you want to ask questions. So how do you really determine, how does a lender determine what every individual who applies for a loan for? The first thing we look at is your individual debt to income ratio, okay? And this is a very, very simple equation, okay? But you know what's funny? I have two children. They're 17 and 21 now. And they always said growing up, and they were like, yeah, my dad's in mortgages. He's a math whiz. I'm like, if you only knew. There's really no high-tech math in mortgages. Everybody thinks there is. This is about how high-tech as it gets. So team, to figure it out, and I want you to start thinking right now tonight, okay? I want you to start thinking about what are your total monthly debts, okay? Your total monthly debts divided by your gross monthly income. Total monthly debts divided by your gross monthly income. That determines your debt to income ratio. So in this, the first scenario we have here, if you, let's just say you have $1,200 in monthly bills out of all your debts, okay? And we're going to throw some scenarios out there to make sure you really understand. You add up all your monthly bills, you divide it by your gross income. So let's say you're making $3,600 a month right now, and you have $1,200 in total debts. You're looking at a debt to income ratio of 33%. You're just taking the 1,200 divided by what you gross. Now remember, when you get home later, you're thinking right now, don't think what you're bringing home in your paycheck. That's your net. You need to be thinking about your gross. Make sense? Remember, it won't make total sense yet, but we'll get there. So what I want you to do is you can do it on your phones. You don't share your numbers out loud, of course, but I want you just to look at it and say, okay, just start running some numbers if you have your phone calculator, you know, whatever roughly your debts are divided by your gross income, that tells you your debt to income ratio. And what I want to do here is give you all, when you're looking at this is where the rubber meets the road, okay? We're looking at, for a conventional loan, I'm not going to bore you with all the loan products and programs, okay? That's not what I'm here to do. For regular conventional loans, okay? The standard debt to income ratio the lender is allowed to approve your loan at is 45%. So you see in this scenario before, we had 30% debt to income ratio, okay? So now for the Federal Housing Administration, FHA you hear so much about, 43%, okay? When they really, with exceptions, we can go up to 50, 55 sometimes, okay? For VA, any veterans in the room? Okay, VA goes up to 41%. And there are definitely higher as a government loan. So when you're sitting at home, a couple of things you got to remember, okay, about your debt to income ratio. Because you might be thinking, maybe you're thinking, wow, I'll afford a lot right now, or whoa, I won't afford anything right now. You got to remember your current rent does not go into this equation. So you can back that out. Remember, your utilities do not count in this equation, okay? Does that make sense? So let's run through some examples here. I'm just gonna say it out loud. You all take guesses here. Anything in the chat yet? Any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Answer this, but you can reiterate it. Does your current rent or mortgage payments, is it included in the debt?
I love they're paying attention. This is awesome. Thank you for asking that question. And no, it does not. You pull out your current monthly rent. You pull out your current, so if you could say, I got cable for 80, I got gas and light for 200, blah, none of that counts in your debt to income ratio. It's what you owe a creditor, because remember what they know you're gonna do when you leave your current rental situation, when you close on your first home. Are you gonna be renting still? No, that's gone now, okay? So that makes sense. So let's go ahead.
You don't carry a balance on your credit card, just so that's not counted.
We're going to talk about that's a great question. We're going to say that for the credit time, but that's okay, right? But no, there would be nothing against you, because when you look at your credit bureau, when a lender works up your loan, if you go to Raphael and Gage tomorrow and they're giving you a pre-qualification letter, okay? They're going to look, what is your minimum monthly payments on your credit bureau? What does it show? Make sense? So in your case, zero balance, perfect. Yes.
When we get to the question, you can just repeat that.
Oh, yeah, yes. So the question was, does a zero balance, a zero monthly payment and a zero balance on your credit card get factored into your debt to income ratio? The answer is yes and no. Yes, that everything listed on the bureau gets factored in, but there's no actual payment going out to the credit card, so it would not count against you. Make sense? Okay. So you see the old quote. You ever heard that old quote? If you teach someone to fish, if you give someone a fish, they eat for a day, right? If you teach someone to fish, they eat for a lifetime. And that's what we want to do right now. Not teach you to fish, teach you how the financial sector in very basic terms works. And that's what this is all about, okay? So Dti Scenarios, I want you to think about this, everybody, real quick. And anyone has a calculator wants to try this. Let's just say your gross monthly income, okay, is $3,600. You have a car loan, you have credit debts that total about $800 a month, okay? Now you have current utility bills. You take your gas, your water, trash, that all totals up to 110, okay? What would your maximum house payment be? Now, what I want you to say, you wouldn't know that yet, right? But I want you thinking about what is the one mistake in that scenario where I'm trying to trick you. Bam, you guys are getting it already. Do not include your utilities. Gage, give them the simple way. Is it just say they want to go for a conventional loan? The simple equation.
Yes, you're simply going to take your $3,600. So you know you got to have 45% your max there. You take $3,600 times 0.45. That comes out to $1,620. The only things that are counting on that list is the $800 for your car and credit card. So you back the $800 out. Your total monthly payment can go up to $820 is still due.
So let's do that nice and slow now, okay? So remember, you take your gross monthly income, whatever it is. You know that to get a conventional loan, because we just talked about it. So just think about this, everybody. How much of your money that you make each month can a lender let you borrow against, right? What percent of that money? We don't want to make anyone house poor, right? And I'm sure we all have friends that have bought a house and they kept upgrading, and when they got this humongous house payment, right? They're way over their head. There's things in place to safeguard consumers and home buyers, okay? So what we do is we say, okay, you're making $600 a month, okay? Take that very simply times 45, hit the percent key, okay? That gives you how much, Gage?
1620.
Okay, so remember this, everybody, you ready? What the lenders are saying, you make $3,600. We're going to say you can take up to $1,600 of your $3,600 a month for all your debts, including your new house payment. But don't remember that's not utilities, okay? That's not your current rent. That's just the debts you have off of your income and what can you afford for a housing payment. It might seem a little bizarre. Let's give you one more scenario and we'll make it all make sense. And this is the second scenario. Your gross monthly income is $4,200. So Gage, you do the math again, okay? $4,200 a month is what you make. Remember, gross, okay? Your credit cards total $680, okay? And your car. So you got a $300 car payment, and you got Visa, you got something else, and it's a total of $680. Your current rent is $1,200. Any mistakes here so far? Bam, take the rent out. Rent doesn't count. Remember, you're gonna have a new mortgage payment, no more rent ever again. Make sense? So now we look at what would the max housing payment be, Gage?
Okay.
So now you can afford a house payment of $1,210. Remember, but did you put the $1,200 in there, Gage? Okay, so it's just $4,200.
4,200 is 0.45.
Yep. Equals what?
That puts you at $1,890.
Right. Minus the $680. New house payment could be up to $1,200. Now, all of you have to be thinking, well, that doesn't mean anything to us. You're confusing us because we don't know what the house payments would be. We have that for you too, okay? So first, any questions? Debt to income ratio, your total debts divided by, remember, total debts minus rent utilities, right? Divided by your gross monthly income. Make sense? Team, I promise you, it's that simple. You think mortgages do all kinds of guru calculations. That's what we do. What we do is we review your credit bureau and see. Now, what I want to show you, what our estimated house payments look like. Go ahead.
There is a question on Zoom. I'm trying to speak. Should student loans be included in this as well?
Yes, they are, but there's all kinds of caveats with student loans, and the government obviously is working on a lot of things today about, how to reduce that. But it's all about, are you in forbearance? Are you in deferment? So if anybody in the room has student loans, there's a lot of ways to work around it. And Raphael, engage, what's the minimum percent for student loans to count against for the payment?
1%.
So you take whatever your balance is on your, say if you got a $50,000 student loan out there on your credit bureau, right? We can qualify you off 0.5%. So you do 50,000 times 0.5% key. That's the payment we have to count against you. But remember, this is where you got to get a trusted mortgage advisor to talk to. There's all kinds of ways to work on student debts. Okay, that answer their question? Okay, so team, remember, but the numbers we're going to give you are merely estimates. Remember, rates change every day, pricing changes every day. So far, okay, my gross debts divided by my gross income minus my rent utilities, right? What does this mean? So when that scenario, the first scenario we gave, so if you just take an $80,000 loan amount, okay, so that would be a house. If you're doing a 3% down loan, that would be a house that's what, around 83,000, let's just say. So then you have a 5% fixed. Okay, you saw our rates are right at 5%, right? That would be a payment at 30-year term of around $429. Now I want to just say that again. How does that compare? You don't have to say what your rent is right now. I told you you can have a house for $429 off of what today's crazy rates and economy are. How does that sound? Does that sound crazy? Hey, but remember, there's more. You got to add in the taxes and insurance, the annual taxes and insurance for your county that you live in. You have to add in the homeowners insurance. So what does that look like? Here, these are just basic averages that we use in the business, okay? What you want to do for your yearly property tax bill. Fulton County, which we're all in right now. We're standing in Fulton County, right? Yes. It's 1% of the purchase price, of the purchase price of the home. So in this case, we're getting an $83,000 home. Okay, the house costs 83 grand. You're looking at $68 a month for taxes. Very doable, right? Homeowners insurance. Homeowners insurance is usually around 0.5 to 0.75% of what the loan amount is. So when you look at that, it's this one here would be $600. That's $50 a month. So an all-in payment on an $80,000 house would be $547. Go ahead, question. Okay. So $547 for an $83,000 home. Now, many of you might be saying, come on, fellas, there's not many homes out there for $83,000, right? Well, we got some scenarios here for you, okay? I hope you all can see this slide. And you see we got our nice arrows popping up. So we already got at 80,000. You can keep scrolling. There's a lot of arrows here, Raphael. Bam, okay? Is that my first BAMP, Jen? Sorry. There's more coming, all right? So bam, let's go to 100,000. What if you find a beautiful house you want for 100 grand? What's that payment look like? 665. 150s, 998. You find a $200,000 house, $1,300. 250, 1,600. Now remember, everybody, these are off of today's interest rates, off of what your homeowners insurance should be, and the property taxes in Atlanta, Fulton County will be. It's 1% of the purchase price. Okay, there's all kinds of other things. That's for another day. What do you think about these numbers when you hear and you see them? Does it seem like outlandishly high, or is it less than you might have thought? Usually it is. Remember, so you think about renting, right? Renting, I have buddies, I have people that rent, right? And they're like, I'm paying $2 grand a month for this 1.5 bedroom downtown. I'm like, wow, you know what you could be doing? That's what I'm not doing a good job as a friend, is it? I have a friend sitting out there paying 2 G's a month. And I'm like, we can do this for you. So I want to pause here. What questions are there? So we have some idea now, right, of how the most important thing is your debt to income ratio and how that is calculated. Do all my old friends and family, they're catching on?
Yes, someone else said definitely less than I thought. I do have a Zoom question. It says, what other costs do you typically see a HOA, mortgage insurance? Very good question. That's an experienced person right there. There could be other fees associated, but not the biggest ones always are payment and the homeowners insurance and the property taxes, right? Those are the big ones. Now there is another one, just in the way.
I was trying to get rid of this.
Okay.
Look at you.
Oh, hey, look. Help us out, work with us, man. Is the clicker working again? If y'all's working? Okay, good. No, the clicker stopped working again. How about now, Raphael? Oh, yeah. Okay, so the question online was what other costs and fees could be associated with getting a home? Have you ever heard, when you go by any of your friends, or if you've ever lived in a home before and you lived in a subdivision. A subdivision is when you see the tennis court out front, or there's a pool, community pool, and you pull in, and all the houses are in this one area. That's usually considered what they call a PUD, a planned unit development. Don't write this down. But whenever you see that, and there are swimming pools or tennis courts or a common area, that's usually associated. There is a homeowners association. With that comes homeowners association dues. I will tell you, it's almost never a declination factor on a loan. Like most times, a loan's never so tight where that $50 a month, it's usually yearly. Like in my neighborhood, it's like, I think it's like $3,000 a year for my condo, $12,000 a year. It ain't like that in Atlanta, okay? Unless you're getting a high-rise condo downtown. And I wouldn't suggest that for your first one, all right? Whatever you want though, we're here to help you out. Hey, the end of the day is though, so there's HOA fees, Gage, Raphael, what else can we think of that might pop up for monthly?
That's all I come down to store program.
So for the virtual team, there's other things that we talked about was mortgage insurance, and we can get into that maybe on a different time. But what your mortgage advisor will do for you, literally within a matter of minutes, we would be able to say, remember, everybody, we want to leave here. We would like to talk to you again one day, as we all would. The idea is, forget about us. Can you leave here tonight saying, I know how to figure out what I could truly afford? That's the most important part for tonight, right? And probably the bigger impact is what affects us all each and every day is our credit. And we're going to try to make you all, as simple as this might sound for an hour-long session, credit experts. And that's what everybody needs to know, whatever you end up doing. Is that fair? All right. Any more questions online?
There are, but I just want to get the audience a chance to ask questions too.
Questions? Nothing else? Let's go to the virtual team.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk as loud as I possibly can.
I'll repeat it.
I'm gonna do calculations assuming that you're paying 20%.
Great question. The question was virtual team is, I guess they know because it's on their chat, right? Yeah, but we'll repeat it anyway. So the question is this assuming you're putting down 20%? The answer is no. We work these up off conventional loan guidelines with a program they have with only 3% down. Gage, are these all 3% down? So every scenario you see on that screen, if you can go back there, Raphael, is 3% down. That's pretty incredible, team, if you think about it. So we're talking about, anybody bother me calling them team? Better than family, not family yet. I can say team, right? All right, we're a team now. We're on this credit journey together. So what other, does that answer the question? Everybody get that?
Yeah, there's a couple more. I know we said sideline the mortgage insurance discussion. Is it necessary to get rid of your debt?
Team, please don't talk when we're trying to, they can't hear when we're talking over them.
Is it necessary to get rid of your debt before buying a house?
No, Raphael, they can't hear when you're talking in the background, sorry. The question was, is it necessary to get rid of your debt before buying a house? Not at all. That gets back to that equation we gave you all, right? You take whatever your current debts are, divided by your gross monthly income, that gives you what you can afford. So now to their question though, the answer really is, if you want to be able to afford more home loan, what do you have to have? Less debt, okay? So anything that you can do to minimize your debt helps you to qualify for more of a home loan. So just let's put an example like this. Let's say with all of your debts, it totals up to be $2,000 a month, okay? And your income says you can go 45%, Gage 45% of 6,000. Let's say you make 5,000 a month. Give me a 45% of 5, 4,250 and 2,250. So let's just say you got 2,250 to work with, right? And in this scenario, you have $1,200 in debts right now. But to our friend back here that has a credit card with no balance, right? Now imagine if you're a friend and you're going for the same loan and your friend has a $1,000 payment a month on Express or his American Express. Who's qualifying for more home? She is, because she's running very low debt. The debt is very much inconsequential compared to your income, right? If you're making $1 million a month, a year, have whatever debt you want, you're going to qualify, right? That's what it gets down to. Like most of us, we have to figure out, okay, what can we really, and that's what we're here for, is to let you start thinking about I saw some numbers tonight. It's very attractive. I might be really able to afford this. But guess what? Nothing matters what you can afford until you qualify. Okay. And this is what I want to spend some time on. So before we go further, any more questions in the chat?
One more about what are
PMI averages. Now, this is when you have a government loan, okay, or you have a loan that's over. And I don't want to bore you with too many numbers tonight. So the question was, how do we calculate private mortgage insurance? That's what PMI is. And again, I don't want to get too deep down this rabbit hole. PMI, private mortgage insurance. It's insurance that you pay for that protects who? The lender. It's the biggest racket. I'm just being honest with you. It's ridiculous. Everybody in the business, everybody outside this hates it. You pay the insurance policy in case you default on the bank's behalf, right? How do you avoid private mortgage insurance? Being below 80% of when you put in some earlier, we have to put 20% down. I think someone online asked that. The answer is absolutely not. All those scenarios were 3%, but that factors in the private mortgage insurance. Gage, anything to add to this? Okay.
I mean, your mortgage insurance is going to be dependent upon your program and your credit risk, so it's the different for everybody.
The calculate how to figure that in. So when you're getting pre-qualified by a mortgage advisor, they'll be able to walk through it. That'll already calculate it in when they talk to you about a payment, about what your debt to income ratio is. Okay. And the biggest thing that any mortgage advisor that's worth their salt should say to you, they should say, Jane Doe or John Doe, first off, how much would you like to put down? Do you have, I want to put, and usually the answer is usually just for everybody. This is for this room, and I don't care where you're at. Everybody wants to put down the least amount possible. You know what I mean? If you can get a great deal without putting all your savings down, why wouldn't you? So that's just talking to your mortgage advisor and getting the right thing that works for you. Make sense? Jen, any more questions out there?
Sure. To talk about credit.
Okay, so this is usually the hottest of all, right? So, and I would really ask you, by the way, you're all doing phenomenal. You're all paying attention. I got good eye contact. I appreciate it. It means you're serious about your future. And that means a lot to us. So first of all, everybody, the bullets there, you see strong credit scores. This might seem like it's trying to be too profound. It's financial freedom, independence, and success. Let's just be clear. When you want to get all those nice things in life, right? Either we were all born with a silver spoon. I know I was. Anybody in here had a silver spoon when they were born? A real rich mommy and daddy? I know I didn't, right? I know my guys didn't. So unless you have that, your trust fund somewhere, we got to take care of our credit. Because everything we want to do in life, every bank looks at first, what's your credit score? The credit score simply is it's a historical indication of how you are going to repay your lender. Any lender that is on earth that lends you money, they have a window in the future by looking at through the door of your past to see how have you paid historically. And this doesn't mean, remember, I can just be honest with you. I've had credit hiccups in the past, okay? Had the worst credit you could probably think of I've had in my past, right? Life's a long journey, right? I'm laughing and smiling now because you got to know what you're dealing with. And I'm going to try to teach you how to deal with things that happen and how to avoid them. And if they've already happened to you, who cares? Throw it out the window. You know, team, you got everything when you make mistakes, or you make a mistake, what happened? You were taking a risk. You were trying to do something, right, to better yourself. So what? Leave it at the door. Let's focus on what makes up a credit score and how to improve your credit score. By the way, Jen, how are we doing on time?
It is 6:30, so.
We're doing good. Okay, so team credit. So this overall, I want you to really all look at the screen and focus in. This is the brass tacks, so you all leave here knowing, I now know what good credit score is. I'm going to tell you, so first off, the first question is, what is considered great and good credit? Very simple. 720 to 850, you're a rock star, you're getting anything you want. The bank looks at you and says, and everybody remember, this is not to be insensitive, but any lender is going to lend you money to say, is there a pretty good chance and this Jane Doe is going to pay me back, right? That's not asking too much, right? That's what the credit score, that's why the credit score is so important. So 720 to 850 is excellent. 690 to 719 is good. Fair is 630 to 689. And to be clear, bad, remember, and it's not about if anyone has a not so good credit score right now. Who cares? We're going to show you how to improve it and how to keep it there. Make sense? Everybody now know what a good score is. The rest of your life, everybody says, what's good credit? 720 and above. Great credit, really? When you want to say, I'm smoking hot, 740 and above. So the question is it possible to get there? Of course it is. Does not matter your income, doesn't matter where you live, has nothing to do with anything. It's all about the things we're about ready to teach you right now, okay? I want you all to ask questions as we go through this, because these are topics, and I don't want to seem too, philosophical over the top. That can really change life if you know how to manage credit and and what it makes up, how to do this, it'll change things for you. So the great 8 for achieving strong credit, okay? First, obviously the first bullet there is no magic pill. No one, I don't care who you come from, who you know, you can't say, I know Steve Cook, I got good credit. No one cares who you know, where you live, come from. Do you think, you know, it's so funny what we get every day in the lending world. You'll get, you know, people that make a lot of money and say, I got X dollars in the bank. I make X dollars a month. I cannot believe you're not giving me a loan. You know what we want to say, but we don't say, of course. It doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank, how much you make, because no matter how much money you have, you're not paying anybody back. So who wants to lend you money if you're not paying anybody back? Does that make sense? So always keep that in mind. Those things don't matter. So what matters is, first, you have to know your credit scores. I can't urge you enough. When you leave here today, I'm not going to endorse any one of them out there. There's a bunch of them, but there's free. I want to make an accent around free credit monitoring services. Okay, you probably all have heard some of them. Who's heard of Credit Karma, right? Team, I've been in this business for 25 years at the highest levels. I personally use Credit Karma, and it pops up I use Experian.com. Okay, and it pops up every month. Would you like to go to the premium subscription? I'm like, no, I don't. So I get it all for free. Free. It tells me what my scores are. It tells me this just happened to your credit. Did you know about this? Free every day. I can't tell you enough. You can't make improvements on what you don't know. Does this make sense? When you leave here tonight, get on one of the free credit reporting sites. Make sure they're reputable. Make sure they're known, okay? Have you all heard of it? Have you ever heard of the credit bureaus? Well, Experian's one of the big three. I don't want to bore you with information. There's TransUnion, there's Equifax, and there's Experian. Well, Experian's one of the one that has a free service. I have them too because it's free. Doesn't cost you anything and doesn't ding your credit. It tells you, hey, your scores have went up. Click here to see, and it tells you why. Okay, so it makes sense why it's important to know. Okay, you don't want to ever start the home loan process, start paying money for appraisals and applications and whatnot, and you go in there and they're like, oh, sorry, Jane Doe, your credit score is 580, no loan for you. Make sense? Okay, now get and keep credit monitoring. Okay, you want to know what's going on in your credit. Number 3, here's the big one. It seems so incredibly obvious, right? Pay on time and pay as agreed. When you get your statement every month, okay, and it says you owe minimum payment of $80 and it's due on the 15th, okay, pay that thing by the 15th. And when you do, all of a sudden you start creating a credit history for yourself, okay? That's a real obvious one. And again, it's the biggest component of overall credit scores, okay? Now, keep your balance, but this is one that most consumers do not know. How would you? Keep your balances below 30% of your limit. So if you got a $10,000 credit card, okay, and you have a balance of $2,000, is that hurting your scores or helping your scores? And you pay it perfectly. You've been paying it perfectly for 10 years. $10,000 high limit, you only have $2,000 on it, outstanding balance. Is that helping you or hurting you? Why? Exactly. Team, it's so, oh yeah, look at that, look at that, free gift, yeah, way to go, East Carolina. Hey, so does that make team? It's a very, very simple one that most people don't know. It'll have a profound impact to your credit score, okay? Number 5, credit mix. The algorithms, remember, the banks don't create credit scores, okay? There's an algorithm that's called FICO, Fair Isaac, okay? It's a system that they use that it's used in America, okay? And I'm not going to explain how it works. I don't even know how it works. I know what goes into it. I don't know who created the algorithm, okay? The bottom line is they like to see, the computers like to see you have multiple streams of debts, okay? Do you have a bank credit card? Do you maybe have a store credit card? Do you have an installment loan through another bank? Does that make sense? So let's say you have a car through GMC, okay? You have a Macy's credit card, all right? And you have a Visa through PNC Bank. Is that bad for credit? Now remember, imagine if you're just thinking about, what's your name? Natasha. Imagine if your friend wants to borrow money, okay? And say Steve comes to you and I say, Natasha, I want to borrow 10 grand from you. And I could provide you a piece of paper that says you're paying Raphael. I've been paying Raphael for 10 years perfectly. If he gave me 20 grand. I've been paying Gage for 15 years perfectly. He gave me 50 grand. How do you feel about giving me maybe 10 grand? Better, right? But worse, because there's a history, right? I'm not saying you're going to do it, Natasha. I don't know, Gage, get out of here. But things that make sense, you want to be able to see, and then it might sound counterintuitive. Have you shown the ability to manage debt? I have a car payment. I'm managing my debt. I have my Macy's card. I have my PNC credit, my Visa. And you're managing those, it makes the computer and a lender feel very, very good that you take it seriously and you're managing your debt. Make sense? Questions online? Okay, so now, do not close older dormant accounts. Huge one, okay? Team, if we're in the business, I used to be the king of doing this. I'd be like, I got this old credit card from when I lived back in Ohio and I've closed them all out. I'm like, oh my goodness, I've crushed my score. So think about that. You said you have a zero balance, right? That's awesome. And you try to keep it there every month, right? You charge up, charge down, perfect. You don't have to, but it's perfect, right? You're managing debt perfectly. Remember, the algorithm, the computer model is going to say, just keep it below 30%. We're going to help you score. And what they're going to say is they want to see a history of repaying companies and individuals. Okay. So say that card, because I was where you were before, and I had like 3 old store cards. When I got my first one, right, in college, I was like, I got every card known to mankind. You know, I was like, yeah, I'm an adult now. I was a dummy because no one taught me this stuff. So I go out and then like maybe I had them for like 7 or 8 years. 7 or 8 years later, I closed them all. So now here's how it works. Okay, now try to follow this. Let's say you have 10 accounts on your credit right now. Okay, you've had each account for 2 years. The computer says the top 20 years of credit management, of debt management. Does that sound? And remember, let's just say it's perfect, Natasha, right? 10 accounts, 2 years each. 20 years of a history on this individual. Make sense? Now let's say you go out. What's your name? Hello, Brianna. Let's say Brianna, you go out and say, and I've had this credit card for so long, I'm not using it anymore. And you've had it for like 5 or 7 years, and you close it. There goes some of Brianna's history, and now it shows a closed account. Don't do it. Does this make sense? Very basic, but very, very profound. Any questions online?
There is.
Good.
Mortgage pre-qualifications negatively affect your credit.
This person cookie, whoever that is. So, and we're going to get into this about inquiries, okay? It might even be next. Look at that. Tell the person, whoever that was online, I'm very proud of you because the next number 7, Nikki, you're amazing. The next bullet point, as you can see, is avoid credit inquiries. So this is probably one of the biggest ones that consumers just don't realize, okay? Let's just say, Brianna, you go out and you roll out and say, I'm going to go to PNC. You guys notice how I put PNC a couple of times? Just kidding. Hey, so you're going to go to PNC and try to apply for, say, a car loan, okay? You're going to go across the street to Regions and you're going to get a credit. You're going to apply for a Visa. You go across the street to SunTrust and you're going to apply for a MasterCard, okay? And so let's say you do all this because you want to really get things going, okay? Does it sound, if you were a potential creditor, does that sound somewhat alarming that someone is trying to take on a lot of debt at the same time? It's a scary proposition. So credit inquiries absolutely impact your credit score. Don't quote me exact because it changes all the time. Anywhere from 2 to 10 points, and they stay on for 2 years. 2 to 10 points, they stay on your credit for 2 years. Now, they stop every month that goes by, they affect you less and less and less, and then 2 years it falls off. So listen, you have to have credit to have good credit scores. Some of the people with the best credit scores have a tremendous amount of credit, okay? I can speak for myself. My scores hover between, remember, having credit naturally brings credit down. Full transparency. I'm between a 786 and an 820 at any time. Depends on what's going on, right? What happened and when I happen to pay something, right? And I have a number of total debt that would scare some of you, okay? But it's all relative. My point is, you've got to have credit to get credit. You got to take, so I'm not saying don't go apply. What I want to teach you, I want to press upon you is this. A smart thing to do, if you don't have a bank credit card right now, you need to get one. Not because I want to, of course I do. I want you got to realize how credit works. You're never going to, how many times in our business they can tell you their head will spin? How many times we pull someone's credit and it says no credit on file? Because no one ever taught and coached them. You have to create a history that makes lenders say, I want to do business with Brianna and Natasha. They are very, very low credit risk. How do you make a bank think you're a low credit risk? By having credit that you've proven over time that you manage. So first step in the process is go out and get a credit card. You guys know what you have to do, right, guys and gals? Make sure your credit bureau has credit. And how you're going to find all that out? Because your credit report for free. Okay. It's going to tell you what's on there, what you need to do. Okay. So credit inquiries. How long do they stay on your credit? 3 years. Now here's the caveat. Okay. 2 years. 2 years. The caveat is this: when you're applying for a mortgage, you're allowed unlimited credit inquiries for a 45-day window. Okay. When you apply for a mortgage, unlimited credit, let's just go with 30 to be safe, for a 30 to 45-day window. It's moving targets sometimes. Now you might say that doesn't make sense. It does, and here's why. The computer model wants to encourage homeownership, right? So they want to say, Brianna, Natasha, everybody in the room, you know what, if you go out and you run into a broker on the street that says, hey, I'm with ABC Lending, like, give me a shot, you do it. You get pre-qualified, they don't give you a good feeling. You never heard of the company before. What do you want to do? Should you, as a potential homeowner that's going to stimulate and drive the economy, be relegated to that one broker that you had to pull your credit? No, they say, you know what, get your butt down to PNC, let them pull your credit. And is it going to impact you at all? Zero. After you do, whoever pulls it first, there's going to be one inquiry, okay? Every subsequent inquiry does not matter. Make sense? On mortgages only. Why? They want you to be able to shop around if you want to, okay? So, number 8, and have and keep an industry expert. Honestly, in all sincerity, this is not a shameless plug for us. What we want to do is you want to have someone in the business that you can talk to and say, Steve, Gage, Raphael, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? Hey, does this matter? But now I hope you're starting. Have you already learned? Everybody already learned some things that you didn't know before? Is this so far pretty impactful? I get some nods. Yes. Okay, good. So now I want to transition from this into what are the impacts to your credit score? I need you to really pay attention to this one, everybody. This one's huge. So you might think, okay, what bearing does X, Y, and Z have? You can see that the next slide right there. You need to keep this one in mind forever, okay? How much do you owe? Amounts owed is a 30% part of your score, okay? Is that a pretty big percent? Yeah. What's the biggest part that we talked about earlier? Are you paying on time? Are you paying as agreed? That's 35% of your credit score. Does one late payment crush you? It's not good, but you can get rid of it. Okay, it's not a credit class or credit repair class. This is a learning what makes up credit scores, right? 10% credit mix. I told you earlier it helped, right? Is it the highest priority? No, but it's there. 15%. Remember talking about don't close accounts? 15% is the length of your credit history. 10% new credit cards. Okay, everybody see those percents. So you got to think the biggest weight every lender gives is Brianna and Natasha paying as agreed, and are they paying on time? Okay, then you get down to all the other ones, amounts owed. So remember, just remember these are the big 2. I got to pay on time. Remember, you don't have to pay it off. Remember what Brown's doing. If you have a month, right, where money's a little low, you do some other things, car broke down, whatever. I had to do some other things. Just make sure you make that minimum monthly payment. Okay, at least make that minimum monthly payment. That looks very good to a lender. Remember, 30% of that outstanding, whatever your limit is, try to keep it below. Now remember, I'm not saying this is going to be a death sentence if you go above 1 month, right? I'm just saying now you're empowered to know, America, how do I get home ownership? How do I get great credit? Excuse me. Questions, comments? It's a great time for a question.
We have a number for too.
Who has one?
No, okay.
No.
Just giving everyone. Does a credit card with Amex or Capital One not do the same thing as a credit card directly with the bank?
Same thing. Great question. The question was, do Amex count any different or Capital One count any different than a PNC or Regions card? Answer is no. We look at it as it's a lender that you owe money to, that you're paying as agreed. Great. Was that Nikki again?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we got some other.
Awesome. Go ahead.
Like raising your rate with an existing or in the amount that you're qualified for on your card, does that count as an inquiry or is that?
No, I know most of that. I can't speak for every lender out there, but I know Capital One. I have a Capital One card. I got my kid a Capital One card. I have PNC cards too. But yeah, it's a very good question. It actually helps. Okay, it helps your credit. So let's take this equation, everybody. Listen to this. When you get that call from your credit and they say, "Hey, update your income," and then we want to maybe raise your credit line. What happens is, let's just say you had this account that you got like a $4,000 balance on, and it's 10 grand. Is that helping your score right now? No. Now, what if they say, hey, Brianna, you've been managing it so well for so many years, I'll take you to 15. Now, all of a sudden, you wake up tomorrow, you got an account that was crushing your scores. Now it's absolutely helping your scores because you're below 30% of the balance of the limit. Great question. Does that make sense, everybody? Just if you get all these little things add up, you know, in the credit qualification lending world, small is big. Remember, small is big. The little thing that you think might be inconsequential can make a profound impact. Make sense? Any more questions on this slide? Oh, go ahead.
I actually have my own.
Please.
As a follow-up, does it make a difference if you ask for a credit raise or if they just give it to you?
No, what they'll do, they all have things in place modern day, Jen, where they have things that they're designed for this. You know, you can even do, there's a thing called a soft pull. What you want to look out for and ask your lender, when you do a soft credit pull on me. So that gives them all the information they really need without it actually being a hard influence that sticks on you for 2 years. Most institutions have soft pulls, especially on the credit card side of things, because you're already a customer. They already have your profile. They have your pay history. So no, it will not. And then you you always ask your lender going forward, will this be a soft pull or a hard pull? And do I qualify for an increase? And just know this, and I want to just be very transparent with you. You know, so when you think about lenders, how they make money, right? They want to lend everybody money. They really do. There's this misconception of bankers like, no, they want to love you. They just want to see that you're going to pay them back. And so if they like you, because remember what makes them like you? By having a great credit score, by paying everybody as you're supposed to. And then when you come to a lender and say, hey, I'd like to have more money. Well, you guys are home runs. I already know you. Of course, I'm going to raise your limit. Make sense? So I would say, remember, take it every time. Now, what I'm going to put a caveat on there. Don't go raise it up. Don't go spend it all. You know, who's done that when you were young? I am so guilty. My first car was with Wachovia. I renamed them Walk All Over You. They're not there now anymore, so I can say that. And I walked into the North Lake Mall in 1992. And you remember right across North Lake Mall? Yeah. I walked in, I'm like, and I got to know because they did their deposits. I did my deposits at my retail store back then. And I walked in and I got to know the manager real well. I said, Beth, can you get me a credit card? She said, $4,800 like that afternoon. I had new basketball. I had new gloves, new sneakers. I went on a shopping spree. Literally in like my first month, I had like a $3,900 balance in that card. And I was 22, thinking I know I'm the man. I wasn't nothing. You know, I had no one teaching me about the perils of credit. You know how long I stuck with that balance? When I was young and struggling, I was paying like $30 a month for like 7 years. Then I'm like, what? That's how you wake up one day. It's all these little things where you wake up. When you go check your credit later, do not be ashamed or alarmed if you see a 580 or a 620. Everyone's been there. It's about, do you know the things now to start changing this around rapidly? And you can do this stuff has rapid impacts for you. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. How are we doing on time?
We have about 6:53. There was one more
Okay.
asking to explain again the credit.
Oh yeah, let's go back to the credit mix real quick. So, bam, 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 bam. But just before we go back to this slide, I'm not going to scroll all the way back. So the credit mix is the algorithm, the computer model for credit wants to see that you're able to manage multiple lines of credit. Okay, so whether it's a store card, because you see I know what we just had to show you the graph again. Put up the graph again real quick. Right here, you see right here. So it says amounts owed, length of credit mix. So the great question, it's a 10%, factors in 10% of your overall credit score. So remember, if you have all just like, if you have 3 visas with 3 banks, okay, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a 10% bump if you have, you know, a store card, a bank card, multiple other various sources of credit. That's the question. Okay. So credit mix is important, but it's not nearly as vital as how are you paying as agreed, and are you paying, how much do you owe versus your balance? Okay. We're on time. Okay. So I'll speed up here a little bit if I can. So I don't want to take much of your time. Credit derailers. So these are the things that you all have. Let's have some fun with this. Great. I'm just going to, so you guys just blurt out yes, no. Tries, you're going to get a PNC bag. Okay. Just make a bag. Just make a guess. Okay. Is this good or bad for your credit score? Let's have some fun with this. You pay a credit card 6 days after the due date. Bad. Who says so? Rihanna said bad for her bag. Hey. So team, so is it bad? So here's the deal. It's going to fool a lot of you. Does not impact your credit score. You ready for this? You have to go 30 days late. And you do not get a late payment on your credit until you are 30 days late. Now, what it does do, it doesn't help your finances because credit card companies love this because what happens when you pay late, you're getting all that per diem interest hits your account. So your balance keeps going up. You can't figure out why. That's why a good rule is to always pay credit cards that have, that's called a revolving debt. Pay them 7 days before that due date if you can. But just know this: don't lose sleep if you're past your due date. It will not impact your credit. It's going to hurt your balance, and you're going to be paying more interest to the credit card company, which no one wants to do, right? Do you know how? Let's just say you got a 28% credit card interest rate. So you got a card, you've had it forever. Everyone, check your credit card interest rates tonight. If it's not competitive, go have them pull your credit, but you need to call some other companies, okay? So when you look at it, you got to think, how much are you paying every month? You make payments to that, and so you have real common these days is let's say 8 to 15. So imagine if you had a 15% interest rate, and you shop around, you find out some banks will give you a 3 or 4 or 5% interest rate. You have to know this. You got to get a lower interest rate. You know, most of your companies will do if you have a good pay history with them. If you call your current credit card company and say, I need a lower rate, but I'm rolling over to PNC, they'll be like, Natasha, I'll call you back in an hour. They do not want to lose you, okay? And what do you think, Timmy? Can you see how you start having your chest out and chin up, being a little more proud when you call your banks? When you know you're a very, very low credit risk. That's when you start getting things you want in life financially. When you know you got a good story to tell, and your story to tell, and they pull your credit. Okay. So remember, not good for finances, but doesn't hurt your credit score. Pay your car loan 17 days after it's due. Hurt or help or not, it doesn't impact. Why? That's my man. It hits your credit when you go 30 days late. Okay. Hey, maintaining a perfect pay history. Remember, you got a perfect pay history on a credit card. You got a $4,000 balance, $10,000 limit. Hurting or helping, it doesn't matter. You guys got right. I'm proud. We've hit this one out of the park. 30% of your balance limit. Okay. Hey, you close an old department store card, Brianna. Don't close it. Hey, that you haven't used in 3 years. Helps or hurts? Remember, exactly. Hey, you want to look at that credit mix and length of time. How long is your credit period? Okay. Applying for new credit cards. Help or hurt? Hey, necessary evil, right? If everybody in here already has a couple credit cards, you're good. Don't apply for any more. Go back, renegotiate your interest rate, and talk about increasing your limits. That's what you should be doing tonight. Okay. But don't go out tomorrow and apply. When you go to all those different places, you are getting a credit ding. Each inquiry is going to hit your score. Each inquiry. Okay. Applying for a new personal loan. Did it hit your credit? Yes, it's another inquiry. Okay. Applying for a mortgage with PNC. Hey, the first one will be a regular inquiry, but it's a mortgage inquiry, so you're unlimited for 30 to 45 days. Make sense? Maintaining a perfect pay history on a car with a $2,000 balance. We got this. I don't even have to ask you that anymore. You guys are great. Not having any credit inquiries, good or bad. If you don't have credit yet, but hey, after you've all established credit, stop having inquiries, okay? Especially when you're about ready to go through the home lending process. You currently have an open bank loan, a car loan, a credit card, and a store card. Good or bad for your credit? Credit mix. Okay. All right. Can I keep going? Yep. 4 minutes. 10 loans. You gotta know about this. Is what derails you. And I want you to really listen to this part too, okay? Done thousands of loans in my career. And so many good people like all of you in here that want to do the right thing and are trying to get ahead and want to get your first home or your second or third home. You come to us, we get you pre-qualified, and you do things during the process that take you from an approved applicant to a decline. We were having a funny talk before. It wasn't funny, but I was out in the parking lot in the heat for like 30 minutes, having to decline a lady. Okay, $1 million in the bank. You think she was cussing me out? Remember, she was working with one of my team in Alabama, but I was taking that grenade. I had to explain to her, hey, the whole debt to income ratio mix, right? She has all this money in the bank, but do you think she has any monthly income? And it was all IRAs and investment and retirement funds. You can't show it, can't use it. It's only unless you're 65, right? Or 55, all that jazz. So there's landmines that happen throughout the process that can make you go from approved to decline. Not raising your hand, number one, not raising your hand, understanding. When you go into the home loan process for the first time or your second or how many times it is, make sure you understand. There is no, you heard the old adage, there's no stupid question. This is your money, your finances, your world. Ask questions. If your mortgage advisor is not going to take the time to talk to you, they make you feel rushed. you need to call me and my cell 24/7, okay? That should never happen, okay? Lack of urgency. When you're going through the home loan process, there's things that we are going to ask from you, okay? Get them back with urgency. Remember, be patient, okay? You got to have urgency to get what we need. You got to be patient. Realize, remember, this is a great thing about asking, right? And knowing during the process. If we were to call you, Natasha, I called you and said, Natasha, I need page 4 of your Chase bank statement from February. You know what happens all the time? Like people think like we just want to ask for stuff, you know, because it's very clear. We have to see all pages of all statements for when it comes to assets, right? So they get angry, and that sometimes that's our fault for not explaining. Like to say up front, we're going to ask you for a ton of stuff. Just know it's all what the federal government requires. You know, the federal government mandates every lender does fair and equal housing and lending. We got to be able to show we are treating everybody the exact same. So say you and me are friends, and we become friends, Natasha. And I say, you know what? I got you. Don't worry about that. No, that's a big no-no. You got it the same way, okay? Everybody, changing jobs. If you are thinking about starting the home loan process, you want Gage or Raphael to pre-qualify you, okay? And you're thinking about doing a job change, don't do it or don't apply for a loan right now. Let's wait till you're reset up. There's all kinds of requirements, how long you got to be on your job, same length of time in the industry, all that good jazz. Number 5, losing your job goes without saying, right? If anything's crazy right now, just don't start the process. Making a purchase during the process. I would have to tell you, this is probably, I would rank this as probably number 1 on the list for me, for derailers. Team, literally thousands of loans in my career. During the process, I got a call from a first-time home buyer or even a 3rd or 4th home buyer, and they say, just bought me a new Jag. I'm like, what? Remember, we work up your debt to income ratio, total debts, total gross income, right? You get people that go through the process and go out and buy a brand new car, do something great for their significant other, thinking they're being cool, right? And you just made a decline on your loan. You are getting no house now because you did that, okay? Don't do it. Making cash or unusual deposits. Ever since 9/11, the government put a thing called the Patriot Act in. I'm not going to bore you. You have to show where every dime's coming and going. So let's just say, especially if it gets around the $10,000 mark, okay? Do not be making cash deposits because you know every lender's going to say, where's this cash coming from? What is this? We got to be able to track. It's called the Patriot Act. Got to know we don't want to see any suspicious activity. Remember, if you got an explanation for it, and you got to do it. Say whatever you do, you have a side landscaping business, okay? And you get $50 cash for every yard, whatever. We'll help you document it. Just know it slows the process down. Just don't do these things during the process, after the process starts, okay? How about if you normally have, happens all the time, everybody. Let's just say you normally get your $3,000 a month total direct deposit from your current job, okay? All of a sudden you show a deposit of $4,800 and it's just a random deposit. You think that's a problem for a lender? We're like, see, most people think, what do you care? I guess I got more money now. We got to know what a lender has to think. We're thinking, did they go out and get a loan? And now that whole debt to income ratio piece, do they now actually qualify for less because they got another loan from another bank and the money's from the bank? See all the problems that come out of house? Very, makes sense? Non-sufficient fund charges. Big killer going through the process. Look at your checking account. If you see NSFs, it happens. Let's just let them season. A bank has to, all mortgage lenders have to see 60 days of asset statements, okay? So if you have an NSF charge, things happen for everybody, right? Let's let it season. It's called seasoning. Let's get past 60 days. When you're going through the process, do not be paying bills with the money not in your account. You're going to get an NSF charge, and it's going to be a big impact on you. Make sense on that one? Going to lay any of your bills. What happens during the process, everybody, that credit score we qualified you with, you went out and said, you know what? I went out and got an American Express, Jen. I didn't run it up, but I got me a new Amex. Is that a credit inquiry? A hard credit hit? It's a hard credit hit. Your score was, you were just qualifying for a 5% rate because you had a 720 on that inquiry. You now have a 708. Your rate's 5.625. It can be that impactful. Okay. Last but not least, lack of transparency with your advisor. We're here to help everybody. Remember, we want to get you all a loan. You realize that, right? This is how the world goes around. We want to give you money. Tell us these things up front. I think that you think is swirly. We're not the mortgage police. We're the mortgage advisors. We're here to help you, to guide you and educate you how to get to that part. So anything you have that doesn't seem right, or I got old child support money, I got old divorce settlement, just talk to your advisor. It's going to save you so much grief at the beginning. Okay. This all makes, and finding homes for sale. This will be real quick. Everybody, the next question people always have is, okay, Steve, I'm really thinking I'm ready. I would say this, before you start looking for homes, get with a mortgage advisor, let them do a pre-qualification on you. It will cost you nothing. Okay. We can get you pre-qualified free just to say, you know what, $180, $140, $280, $260, whatever. Give you that number, you know you're ready to go, give you a pre-approval letter. Then we'll say, we can help get you in contact with agents, right? There's agents everywhere, okay? But where do you find homes then, right? Before you want to get an agent, you want to look on your own. Zillow.com. This is not a plug for Zillow. I got 3 on here. You look at Zillow.com, you literally can put in, put in a BeltLine zip code. What's a good zip code for the BeltLine?
Here we're in 310.
30310. Type when you get home, go to Zillow.com. Home, it'll say you click the homes for sale, 30310, whatever it was, and boom, it's going to pull everything for sale in the BeltLine. And you can go on any one of these sites, Realtor.com. They all work the same way. Remember these: Zillow, Realtor.com, and Redfin.com. Free search. You put in exactly what you want. Everybody, you can actually click to open houses this weekend. Click the button. Remember, get that pre-approval letter in your hand. You're going out empowered. I am pre-qualified. Start having comps going out looking at your price range, what you know you're qualified for. You talk to a mortgage advisor. Now you're ready to go. Does it make sense? So I want to close with a couple points, and then we'll see if there's any last questions. And that is, everybody knows what they say about assuming, right? Yeah, I'm not going to say it, but I think it's our mom and dad taught us that when we were little kids, right? What does this say, everybody? What does this say? Who said? Someone help me out here. Thank you for playing. No, it doesn't. Hey, the point is, don't assume you can't be a homeowner right now. Don't assume if your credit's bad, we can't help you get. Remember, we're not a credit repair company. They're out there. But I'm not even saying the names of those places. There's things that you can do. You don't even need credit repair most of the time. When someone's empowered you, you've been taught what makes up a score, how to improve your credit score. And hopefully you all are better to understand that now, okay? Stop assuming it can't be you and it can't be now. And I would say this, when you look at, is there a magic pill or secret sauce for credit? I actually saw this. I took a picture of this. I was going to one of my branches in Alabama. Now, you can't make this up, okay? It's not about Alabama. I just think that's funny. I saw it, I'm like, you got to be kidding me right now. The line maker on the street didn't stop to move the branch. They actually painted around the log. And I could lift that thing. I can carry it. Anyone move that stick right now. Team, this cannot be you on the credit journey. You cannot take the shortcut. If you really want to have financial freedom and success, you got to do the right things. And there's no magical equation here. It's really this simple. Pay on time, pay as agreed, balance is 30% of your limits. You're going to start seeing great until you're right. Get you a good credit mix. Manage those inquiries, okay? Know what your debt to income ratio is. And hey, we had so many phenomenal questions. When it's a little high, you can look at your things and say, you know what? If I did this and this, I can afford $500 more for a monthly house payment now. If I have my Amex, I'm usually carrying if I was Amex when that's revolving, I'm usually carrying a $3,000 balance. I know Brianna from our class had a 0 balance. Brianna's going to get more home than you are. It's just that simple. There's nothing magical about this. And I don't want to be hokey, but the old saying is, if you can really conceive it and you can believe it, and you really believe it, this is something you want to do, you want to become a homeowner, you're going to become a homeowner. It is not nearly as hard or as profound of an impact as it is or so hard to do. It's really basically easy. We want to know what your DTI is, debt to income ratio. We want to know what your credit score is. And guess what? You get a home. I can't thank you enough. Are there any last closing questions? I apologize if we went a couple minutes over. You all mad at me for going 10 minutes over?
I mean, not long enough to have a couple.
Awesome.
You guys are good. Okay, so I'm gonna mix it up a little bit because I want to close out with some of the last ones. Is HOI and insurance being left with debt if one can't pay the mortgage anymore?
I'm sorry, is it what?
This HOI.
Homeowners insurance.
And insurance against being left with debt if one can't pay the mortgage anymore.
So if someone has to let their home go and you default on your home loan, okay, it's that you're really defaulting on your homeowners insurance as well. So I think it might be, do I still have homeowners insurance and am I still covered insurance wise if I'm late on my mortgage payment? Yes. Usually, everybody, I don't want to bore you too much, give you too much. There's a thing, who's ever heard the term escrow? Escrows. You usually have an escrow account. So in your monthly payment, the lender's going to collect it all, and the lender pays this once a year. I hope everybody virtually can hear me. Most times, probably 90% of the time, your lender's going to collect your taxes and insurance in your monthly payment, and they're going to pay it for you once a year. So it's really hard to not pay it, but you will get the notice if you're late on your mortgage payment. That means your homeowner's insurance is going to be late as well. So they'll get the notices. So if you default, you're going to default on both. And if you don't have if you have to default on your home one day, the insurance doesn't matter anymore because you don't have the home, right? So, but good question.
If you wouldn't mind just repeating this after me so they can hear it, the recording will be available for everyone, but for you guys here and for the line and also post it on our website later.
Very good.
And then the last question is, are there any programs that you know of for first-time home buyers that may be educators, which is very specific, but I know.
Question is, are there any programs available for first-time home buyers? Answer is yes, there's a ton of them. Gage, we'll talk about the PNC grant real quick. It's not a shameless plug, it's a real thing. Tell them just a couple bullet points about it, Gage. Can you come up here and say? Good point.
Yeah. So when it comes to the different down payment, first home buyer opportunities, there's a million out there. One that we have personally is a PNC grant, and it's strictly based off of your income and the county and area you're looking in, as well as income tract for the census. So we have different areas that we can get up to $5,000 in a straight grant for home buyers. And again, it all comes down to certain counties qualify, most of Metro Atlanta, South, West Atlanta.
So Gage, sorry to jump in. What is a grant? Do they have to pay it back?
No, there's no reason to pay, no need to pay it back. A lot of the down payment assistance programs, they have little clauses in there. If you sell the home in 5 years, you got to pay it back. If you move, you got to pay it off. If you're going across something like a PNC grant, you're not going to have that. It's simply money that we are putting up front to help people who need it to qualify, or low to moderate income areas where they typically focus on, without any additional strings attached.
So to be clear, we have a grant that gives you $1,000. It's free. What happens is there's a thing called a census tract. Okay, that's where the federal government plots out areas they want to stimulate and drive homeownership. Guess what? The BeltLine's a big one. Okay, they want to revitalize the BeltLine, and that's the BeltLine partnership's a big key factor for this. So many lenders have, well, not many, there's a very few actually. We will give up to $5,000 towards your down payment, closing costs, anything. So could you conceivably get into a house for zero down? Absolutely. There's other things like FHA loans. Raphael, just tell me real quick about an FHA loan. It is warmer. So tell me about the benefits of an FHA loan.
Perfect. So with an FHA loan, your down payment can be lower because it can take as low as 3.5% of the down payment against your conventional loan. The lowest down payment you can do is 5%. So with FHA, you have more room to as far as your down payment goes. And then also gifts. You can get gifts from family, from friends, and then use those gifts to actually pay for your down payment. So that helps you a lot when you are a first-time home buyer. You don't have to come with as much money out of your pocket.
So with automatic loan, you can actually get, so the FHA is 3.5% down. There's a conventional program that's 3% down, right? But on the FHA side, you can actually have a friend or relative, it can be a family member, can give you the money for the down payment as a gift. We get what they call a gift letter. So there's programs that get you in for zero down. Does that make sense? Did that answer the question?
Yeah, and there's actually a question that's related to that. And that's, so they asked about the 3% down, how you get that, and if PNC is able to help with that, or research into other programs.
Yes, again, I want to be clear. There's multiple down payment assistance program, DPA, okay, down payment assistance program, DAP, DPA. Google either one, they'll pop up. It'll pop up all the ones available in Atlanta. Okay, there's special ones. Ours is one of, because remember, there's no kind of loan attached to this. If it's in the census tract, you put in yours. You all can go home tonight and put in the census tract, and it'll pop up. You go to the U.S. Census tract. You type in your zip code. It'll tell you if you're in the census tract. It literally clearly says you're in it or not. Okay, that tells you what's available. If you are, we're going to give you $5,000 plus we're gonna half off your interest rate and all kinds of other things. I could literally spend a whole segment on all the down payment assistance programs there are. Just make sure they're approved and they're reputable and that your lender uses them, okay? And first, a big one, everybody, is family gift. A lot of time, first-time home buyers or whatever, you could actually get a gift for down payment from your family, a family member. Make sense?
Related question, can you combine the PNC grant with the Georgia Dream grant?
No. Well, can you multiple green can? I think you can actually.
You can.
Yes, that's a yes. Do you know why I keep the young bucks around? They're in the know.
So you can combine.
Yes, certainly. Because there's some you can't, there's some you can't. But that one, Georgia Dream, that one, yes. With us, we don't put limits on our grant, right? But if you qualify for them, as long as you qualify for us, and if you're not to bore you about the census tract, it's what's the median income for this area, okay? And where is your income fall within the median income? As long as you're not so far over it, and as long as you're the zip code where you want to buy the house is in it, you're getting both.
We're working on getting more friends approved for PNC as well.
I think you guys may like this question, but would you mind if I provided your contact information to the attendees? I sent out the recording.
Please. You can call me anytime, but these are the ones that are going to help you run through the loan process for sure. Absolutely. Please do. Give all three. That's a great, that was that Nikki? Just kidding.
I believe it was going on.
I'm kidding. Anything else?
I'll give it a couple seconds in the chat, but
Anything else? Everybody, give yourselves a round of applause. Congratulations. Good luck. You're going to do this.
yeah, I will take the hot seat now. So thank you everyone here that's in person, and thank you for all of the people on Zoom for the great questions and being engaged with our presenters. Thank you to PNC for the fabulous information and for keeping our animated presenter seated in a chair so the sound would work.